Rev up your engines!
Well, so much for self-driving cars, right? 2.7 billion in that Argo AI, artificial intelligence, right? Well, that's all gone down the crapper. Ford just announced the level 4 driver assistance won't generate profit in the near term. Whatever near term means. What, during our lifetime, maybe? So Ford had to write off $2.7 billion of investment in this stupid Argo AI, right? They're all living in a fantasy land. I guess they're listening to Elon too much. Or we're all going to go to Mars or something, these things, right? As I've said, over and over and over again. You can't have self-driving machines on the same roads as human beings. They don't mix. Now, granted, if you had a good artificial intelligent driving system on their own roads, all the machines could talk to each other, and certainly it would work. Of course, there's always going to be glitches. There's going to be accidents here and there, but it would be nowhere near the 40-something thousand people that are killed on American highways every year by people running into people, right? Yeah, I admit that. You can't have self-driving machines on the same road as human beings. They don't interact right. It just isn't going to work. And so that's not going to happen. What, all of a sudden everybody's going to have self-driving cars? Or they're going to build an entire highway system for only self-driving cars next to the ones for us? I mean, there's no money for infrastructure to begin with. They can't build a whole new system for them. You just can't mix people and artificial intelligence. It doesn't work. People are too unpredictable. And then the stupid self-driving cars, okay, they have fail-safe things, like the one the other day on the bridge outside of San Francisco. The self-driving car decided it was going 55, then it just slammed on the brakes, caused an 8-car pileup, right? If those had all been self-driving cars, they'd see he's stopping, we'll stop, and they will all stop. But when there's people and machines driving, it doesn't work. Ford's found that out, and they lost $2.7 billion. Now, both Ford and Volkswagen Group put money into it. This fall, AI said, well, we're shutting down operations. So finally, even these fools in the auto industry are realizing this level 4 autonomous driving, it's going to be a long way in the future, if ever. Maybe in specific situations, yeah. Maybe they'll build little roads inside cities that only the self-driving vehicles can go. Kind of like train tracks, right? The trains are the only ones that ride on the train tracks. They kept acting like this is revolutionary. No, it isn't. A different type of train, if you really think about it. Sure, you don't need train tracks, it's a road, but you can't have people driving on the train tracks with the trains, just like you can't have people driving on the same road as artificial intelligence machines. So I guess the artificial intelligence, it showed that there was a lack of intelligence at Ford and these other companies too. Maybe their intelligence was artificial. It wasn't real. They blew $2.7 billion. Tech and Gadget says, shout out to Scotty Kilmer. I love this mechanic for some reason, even though I've never met him. Guy the other day said, Scotty, how do you go to these people to watch it? The main thing is, I tell people the truth. I remember when I was a kid and I was at my friend Steve Bach's house and his parents came from Germany. I was talking to Steve about something and I left, and later Steve said, my old man thinks you're funny. He says, as soon as you left, he said, is that Kilmer? He tells it as it is. He does not care. And it's right. I don't care. If you're insulted by what I say, too bad. I'm telling the truth about machines that I know. I'll tell the truth about what I see in politics or the corruption that's going on. I don't care. You know, the truth is the most important thing. If people are afraid of the truth, it's because they're usually either involved in some sleazy deal, like most politicians are, with the corporations in their back pocket, giving them money to do whatever they want, or they're just flat out ignorant and they believe something because it is a belief. The problem with beliefs is once people believe things, it's very hard to make them change their beliefs. It's just the way the human mind works, I guess. If you want to learn about beliefs, read this book, The True Believer by Eric Hoffer. He was a sociologist, but it's fascinating how people just get in the set and they believe stuff and then nothing will change their minds, you know? Hey, that's why people like listening to me, because I tell them the truth about cars. Yeah, if they don't like other stuff, well, you know, I don't care one way or the other. I just continue to tell what I've learned, and if I learn new things that work better, hey, I'll tell you about new things that work better. I have no vested interest in one way or another. I don't make cars. I don't sell cars. I just fix them so I can tell you the truth about it. I'm not involved in any of these companies. I'm just seeing what's out there. If somebody comes out with a better thing, I'll talk about it. Fred Montgomery says, what are your thoughts on the Honda Ridgeline? I guess the story goes, the Honda guys are like, well, we want to make a pickup truck for the Honda family so they can have a Honda Accord, Honda Civic, whatever, and then also get a pickup truck that's a Honda. They don't sell zillions of them, but they're well made. They're short beds, so they're not big haulers. They're short beds. They're kind of show trucks. They can last a really long time. I've Everybody I know that's owned one, they've been pretty happy with them. If you like the way they ride and they look, and if you're a Honda fan, you'll probably be totally satisfied with one. Divine Shabazz says, Scotty, I'm thinking about buying a 2013 Nissan Altima with 86,000 miles for $6,500. Is it a good deal? Well, you know, prices of cars are up, but they're coming down a little bit. It's a Nissan Altima. They can last, or they cannot last. If it's an automatic transmission, it's got a crappy Jatco automatic transmission. You want a mechanic like me to check it out before you buy. Because if they tell you, hey, the tranny's starting to go out, don't buy it. Costs you $3 to $5 grand to fix the transmission correctly. So make sure the transmission's working good. Have a mechanic check that out before you buy. If he says it's okay, well, you're not going to get much for $6,500 these days. It might last for quite some time. You got to have that transmission checked out. Burp says, question, Scotty, please, can a modern transmission be damaged by shifting from reverse to forward while still moving? Thank you. It depends. The old ones would damage them all, but the modern ones, a lot of them have safety cutouts, so it won't actually put it into drive from reverse, or put it in reverse from drive if you're doing the opposite way. If you're going forward and you shift it in reverse. Most of the CVT transmissions that I've seen, it can't hurt them because it won't allow them to do it. Everything's computer controlled, and the computer will not allow you to do it. They're not like the old days where a gear shift here and you're shifting it and there's a cable that pulls the gears in and out. No, it's all done by computers and electronics, and they just have to put a little software in it so that no matter what you do, if you change it with your little knob, the electrics won't let it go from D to R or R to D if you're moving. So most of the new ones it won't hurt, but almost all the old ones it will. Layla says, Scotty, my Hemi 5.7 is misfiring. I checked the spark plugs. 2 cylinders seem wet and the rest are good. Just warn. What should I do to stop it? Well, they warn replace the spark plugs, but the ones that are wet, you might want to check the ignition coils. Take the ignition coils off the wet ones, put them on the dry one, put dry ones on the wet one. Then if you find the ones you swapped the wet coils to are getting wet, that means those coils are bad and replace them. Now, if not, it could be the fuel injectors are leaking a little bit on those ones that were wet. So put some good fuel cleaner on. I like my friend Bernie's stuff, the ATS out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. His fuel injection cleaner is the best I've ever found. But any good fuel injector cleaner, a lot of times can fix them. They dribble gas and flood them out because carbon can clog them up, and you want something that can clean the carbon off. And Bernie's is the best I found. There are others out there that are okay, but none of them work as good as his. It's called ATS. Hemi says, Scotty, what do you think of the all-new Lexus RX 2023 2.4-liter turbocharged engine? If you know what I say about turbos, I'm not a turbo fan because turbos put immense extra pressure in, the engines will wear out faster. At least it's a 2.4-liter four-cylinder engine. It's a reasonable size engine. I would never buy like a 1.1 or a 1.4-liter turbocharged engine because it's straining too much and the turbo will wear it out even faster. For example, Honda makes larger engines, 2-liter, 2.4-liter engines that have turbos, and they don't have any particular problems. But I wouldn't touch a 1.5 or 1.4 myself. Too small. And you put a turbo on it, you get more power, but it's going to wear out faster. And to me, cars are modes of transportation. When I was in Rhode Island, but I'm in Tennessee now, but when I left, guy said, Scotty, why don't you splurge and get yourself a new car? I said, hey, my wife's 07 Matrix still runs like a clock. It's 37 miles a gallon an hour. Why waste money? It's still good, not rusted, shiny. Why waste money? The transportation. You get something, you want it to last as long as possible. And if it's non-turbo, it's just going to last long. Gotcha Ruby says, what kind of long-lasting tire pressure measuring tool should I get? The main thing is, you get a plain old one that's analog, that's just a spring-loaded gauge for $10. And they last quite some time, right? You can go digital. The digital ones are highly accurate. They can go by sometimes even quarter-pound increments. It's hard to read that on another gauge because it's just a little stick gauge that comes out, right? But the problem with the electric ones are batteries are always going bad. Seems every time I need to use one, the batteries are bad. Then I got to go buy special batteries. They all have different batteries. It's a real pain in the butt, right? If you really want the longest lasting one, just get yourself a good, the old pencil ones that are just mechanical. You stick them on. They generally do not break down. The digital ones are somewhat more accurate. Let's say you don't care, price is no object. Go get one of the professional ones. It'll come with a hose and it will have a gauge like this, just like AC pressure gauge. It's a round gauge. Generally are the most accurate. If you don't mind getting one with a big gauge and a hose coming off, they do cost quite a bit more. The good ones are like $35, $40. Generally, they last forever because they're a regular pressure gauge with a hose going on, and that's probably what you're looking for. Ron Valley says, flying cars on the new thing. Well, they're not that new. When I was a kid, they kept talking about it. They had that cartoon, The Jetsons, and they're all flying around there. Oh, soon we're going to be like that. This is the 1960s. Well, they don't have any yet, and there's some company that Elon's invested in. And of course, it's in California, and they say, in 2 years, we're going to have a $300,000 flying car. In another 10 years, we're going to have a $30,000 flying car. It'll cost the same as a Toyota Corolla, right? Now, what nonsense. That will never happen. And I think it's a good thing. We don't want flying cars. People can barely drive on the road. Put them up in the air. Imagine the disaster. Cars would be falling on your house from the sky. People would be crashing, burning up in the air. You know, now they crash. Hey, they're on the ground at least, you know? Imagine them up in the air, flying around. It's absurd. And most of these so-called flying cars, yeah, they're just a joke. They're like giant drones, and they try to make them run on the ground, too. With electric motors, they don't have much range. They take forever to recharge. Believe me, for most people, flying cars is always going to be a fantasy. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.